Hello all, this is Anewuchannel and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is part 2 of the video taking 100% responsibility of your life. So I would really encourage you to, if you haven't watched the first one, please go and watch the first one and then come and watch this one. If we don't succeed in life, or if we don't get the level of achievement that we want in our lives, what are our general responses? The three responses that we always have are either we blame somebody or something for it, we complain about it, we make some excuses or give some justification of why we haven't succeeded. So let's look at these responses. The first one is blaming. Who do we blame? We blame our parents, we blame our co-workers, we blame our boss, we blame our government, we blame the taxes, we blame the weather, we blame the tax laws or the tax structure, and finally, if we can't find anything else to blame, we blame our stars or our astrological chart. So if we think that all these things are responsible for we not achieving the success that we want, then for anything to change in our lives, who needs to change? All these circumstances, right, that we have been blaming. And are they going to change? No, right? Those things are out of our control. So blaming is one response where you feel better when you do it. Like, yes, there is somebody else responsible. So suddenly that you feel like vindicated that you are not responsible, somebody else is responsible. So just temporarily it makes you feel better, but nothing ever changes in your life. So the event always, like we saw last time, E plus R is equal to O. The event is always equal to the outcome because you are giving no response. Okay? So that is with blaming. Now let's look at excuses. Like we all constantly making some kind of excuse for us not achieving our success. The most common excuse that we give for not doing anything is lack of time. So we don't have time to exercise, but we have time to binge watch on Netflix. So there are lots of excuses that we give, when we get late also for school or for college or for our office, we can come up with real great stories or great excuses that why we are late or why the project got late, stuff like that. So for most of this, we realize that there was always a choice. If we could have planned a little better, planned a little earlier, we could have avoided all these mistakes. So excuses are what we tell ourselves that why we couldn't do it. Like we try to justify them, our shortcomings with excuses. So they also add nothing to the response. So it's always E is equal to O. Another common thing that we do is complain. Have you noticed that we always complain about the things that we can make a change in? Sounds strange. But have you ever seen anyone complain about gravity? No, right? Because we all know that we cannot change gravity. We just have to live with it. We have to use it. But there's nothing that can be done about it. So we never complain about gravity, but we always complain about our job, our spouses, the weather, the economy and stuff like that. So the thing is, we are complaining about this because we know that there is another reference point that we want. There's another job that we know we could be happy in. That's why we complain about the job. If your job was the only job in the world, would you complain about it? No, right? You know there's another job. There's another place that has a better weather. So either you don't want to move to that location or you can go on a vacation also to that place. You don't want to do that, so you sit where you are and complain. And the thing about complaining is that you are always complaining to the wrong person. We always hear people complain about their boss, their co-workers, their office environment to their spouses or their family members. And they're always complaining about their spouse to their co-workers. Where, however much you complain, nothing is going to change. The same as you complain about your mother-in-law to your mother. Or most of the students, they always complaining about their teachers or their professors, like they don't understand what they are teaching in class. They tell this to their parents, to their friends, but they never stand up in class and tell those teachers that they haven't understood it, if they could repeat it or teach them again. So we are always complaining to the wrong person, to a person who cannot do anything about it. I think we do this because we don't want to risk, being ridiculed or being laughed at, being rejected, or there's a risk involved. If you talk to your boss about like what things you don't like about him, or what the way he's treating you, there is a risk that he might get angry. So we don't want to take risks. So it's better to just sit and complain, and you feel good for some time when you complain, right? But does this change the outcome? Again, E plus R is equal to O. However much you complain, there's not going to be any change in the outcome. I think we all know that complaining is not going to result in anything positive. But do you know there are so many negative aspects to complaining? I think you'll also find this interesting when I share with you what are the negative aspects. We are all so used to complaining, and the way our brain is designed is that whatever we keep repeating, the brain forms special neural pathways for that to make that act easier to do in the future. And research shows that we complain about 15 to 30 times during a day. So the brain naturally forms neural pathways for complaining. So actually once you start complaining, it becomes easier and easier to complain. And you must have noticed that. Sometimes actually what we do is we have just one complaint, but we tell it to so many people. And every time we feel better for that a few moments, but actually you're again really rewiring that brain hard for complaining. And since every time you complain, you're reliving that experience. And naturally, you know that if you keep on complaining, you feel very negative, and nobody wants to be around negative people, right? Negativity is not good for success. We all know that. So you don't want to be around people who are like constantly complaining. We don't like that. So sometimes we actually indulge in that kind of behavior when we are just constantly complaining, constantly trying to justify, constantly finding new people to complain. And we get so used to that habit. When I take a walk in a neighborhood park, I hear senior citizens who have retired for let's say bank or a common office. Those two people they are still talking about their office and complaining about the things going on in their office when they have retired and they have nothing to do with that office now. But that is so ingrained in us that we just keep doing it when they could actually focus on some positive things when they come for a walk, what they want to do and some new projects they want to take and stuff like that. But they are still so used to complaining that they're doing it even after retiring. So this is the way our brain is programmed to complain once we start complaining. So it gets you into a negative vibration. Actually, it's very draining also. If you start your day with some kind of complaint, see how your day goes. You'll feel that you are very tired. Unnecessarily, without doing any work, you feel tired if you keep on complaining. So that's one negative aspect of complaining. Another thing is that when you complain, actually your body releases cortisol. That is a stress hormone. That hormone is good if you're having a fight or flight response. But if you're releasing that all through the day when you complain, it's not good because it is responsible for raising your blood pressure, for diabetes, for even getting a stroke and stuff like that. So having more cortisol is never good. So that is one thing that it does to your body, which you should definitely avoid. Okay, and so that is those are the negative reasons that actually you should avoid complaining. So E plus R is equal to O. So R is actually not adding anything, but it's actually subtracting from your outcome. So you need to be aware of this and do less and less of complaining. And I know here complaining is like sometimes people say that I'm not complaining, but it keeps going on in their head. So it's not, even though you don't verbalize it, the effect it has on your vibration, on your body on your brain is same. So it's not like just you don't say it aloud. Even if you do it in your mind, the effect is going to be the same. Okay. So what do we do? How do we lessen this complaining habit of ours? Because it's a conditioned response. You don't even think before complaining. So we need to have some kind of a mechanism where we can reduce it. So first step would be that doing something that is opposite of complaining. What is opposite of complaining? It's thankfulness, right? If you're grateful for what you have in your life, if you're grateful for the people and the circumstances in your life, that will actually reduce your complaining. Because when you genuinely feel thankful for something, then your habit of complaining and looking for things to complain about is going to go down. So that's why you need to develop an attitude of gratitude. I've already done a video on that one, so you can go and check that out, where I tell you how you can develop a attitude of gratitude and have some daily gratitude practices. So slowly, as you develop gratitude practices, you will realize that you are complaining less and less. So that is one of the major things that you can do. Another thing is surround yourself with positive people. We humans tend to mimic each other's emotions and thoughts. So if you are surrounded by people who are always complaining, then you will also tend to complain more and more. We see that in a social gathering. If one person complains about something, then the other person also says, "Oh, this is nothing. This happened with me. This is worse that has happened with me," and things like that. So there's like a competition of who has more complaints. So we don't want that. So surround yourself with positive people. So when they share their positive attitude, their positive thoughts, you also tend to start thinking more positively. So that's another thing. The third thing you can do, which is a very interesting exercise, you can take a bowl, and every time you complain or you blame or make an excuse, you put some money into it. Let's say 5 rupees or 10 rupees, whatever you decide. In a glass bowl, you put that coin in there, or whatever currency you are in. People watch this video in other countries also, so you can put $1 or whatever your currency is. So put it in that bowl. And for this, you can tell your office mates, or you can tell your family to observe you and tell them that you are on a no complain, no blame diet for the next 30 days. So every time they hear you complain or blame, they are supposed to tell you, and then you're going to put some money in there. Why are we putting money in there? So that you know that there is a cost to this, cost to complaining, cost to making excuses, cost to justifying, cost to blaming somebody else. So that's why we put money in there, and once you see that bowl lying there, that will also remind you that you're not supposed to blame or complain. And after a month or so, whatever time you decide, you can just give that out to charity. So that's a great way. And if you have young kids, you tell them, they will be the first one to find, before you even start uttering anything, any complaint, they'll just remind you. I did that with my daughters, and they used to forget their things and, be after me. If I complain about the slightest thing, they would say, like, you have complained here, you have blamed this. So that's a great way to bring more awareness, because everything starts with awareness, right? Once you become aware of what are the things that you complain about habitually, what are the things you blame others or make excuses. So then once awareness is there, then you actually can take some steps to change all this. Okay, so you just, from now on, you just have to decide for yourself that whatever has happened in the past has happened. That is fine. You had the power to change it, but you haven't used it. But now is the time to actually pay attention to your responses. So every time something goes wrong or something doesn't work out, you are going to ask yourself, how am I responsible for this? What could I have done differently? Would I have thought differently or acted differently? So what changes I need to make? So whatever circumstances you need to change, you are going to check with yourself, how do I want this circumstance to be in my life? What kind of success am I looking at? And then you are going to work backwards and say, what steps do I need to take today to make that to get that outcome, or to make that change in your life, to get that outcome that I want. So it's not going to happen overnight. Initially, before complaining, you may not realize. After complaining, you will realize initially. But then slowly, that habit will go down as you build new neural pathways about more gratitude and more happiness and more taking 100% responsibility. So I hope you've already started with that 5% thing, taking 5% responsibility of your life, and slowly you will see the change in the outcomes, and that will encourage you to take some more responsibility, and it will go to 100% one day. Okay, so if you're going to all say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Okay, so start with the no blame, low complaint diet. And let me know what you think. If you like the video, please press the like button, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Thank you.